Hello and welcome to the Eating Disorder Therapist podcast. I'm Harriet Frew, eating disorder therapist, here to support you in overcoming disordered eating and finding peace with food. So today I want to talk about when you feel that you need to be extraordinary in some way to prove your worth. So many people I work with eating disorders feel they've got to be maybe the thinnest, the prettiest, the cleverest, the kindest, the fittest, the somethingist. Yeah, there is some sort of standard that they feel that they put on themselves, and they feel almost they have to live up to this to be good enough to be accepted by other people and all of that stuff. So I'm going to talk a bit about this whole phenomenon, and if you feel that you have to sort of put yourself up on this kind of pedestal of perfection, how to understand this a bit better, think about where it's rooted, and then how to change this. So let's dive in. So as human beings, we are designed to be competitive to some degree. We're designed for survival, self-preservation, and I guess the human drive towards survival of the fittest really brings that natural desire to win and chase resources. But what, though, if you feel in constant competition with others? Because I think there's a difference between a bit of healthy competition, a bit of being inspired, a bit about wanting to be your best self. And that's very different from when you feel that you're constantly in competition with others, you're comparing yourself, you're always looking sideways, when it's become the bane of your life. When you're no longer present due to the constant self-judgment and comparison. Because let's face it, it's so hard to win every time. If this is how you're trying to lead your life, it's like trying to hit the bullseye on a dartboard continuously. It's almost impossible. And setting yourself this crazy standard will guarantee a consistent feeling of inadequacy and unworthiness, with the occasional short-lived glimmer of superiority, but that doesn't usually last very long. And it's not great feeling superior really either, because it just separates you from other humans. If we feel inferior, if we feel superior, we separate ourselves from others, whereas in reality, actually everyone has their different strengths and weaknesses. It's not that someone is better or worse than someone else. So perhaps you feel that you have to be the cleverest, the thinnest, the fittest, the busiest, the prettiest, the best parent, the most successful, the wealthiest, the perfect person. It could go on and on. But usually feeling obsessively competitive usually stems from a deep belief and fear that resources are limited and fighting is survival. If this is ruling your life and destroying self-worth, you may wish to look deeper to find out what's going on. So the roots of competitiveness. Constant competing is often rooted in feelings of unworthiness. So you strive for the impossible standards to protect yourself from any possible criticism or judgment. So it's a survival strategy. So you probably don't feel good enough internally, even though that's not very conscious maybe. So you chase external goals to fill the shame-based hole. And you strive for breadcrumbs of validation and approval from others. Because underneath whatever the extraordinary thing it is that you're trying to achieve, you might feel that you're boring, you're not intelligent, you're unattractive, I'm too this or that. And that inner feeling of unworthiness then permeates into every life area through choice of relationships, through work and social engagements. And it's like having a millstone around your neck as you carry this heavy psychological baggage into life situations. You overcompensate for your lack of self-worth with an unhealthy striving to outshine others. Maybe you spend hours at your desk to produce the perfect report long after everyone else has gone home. Or you starve and exercise obsessively to achieve an ideal body, which you desperately hope that people will notice. And you sacrifice yourself to be the perfect parent, never setting boundaries and fulfilling every demand thrown at you. So outwardly, you may appear to be excelling at life. Your friends may describe you as the super coper and wonder in awe how you possibly juggle everything so adeptly. And your social media feed might also display a rose-tinted and romanticized view. But behind closed doors, it's an exhausting pursuit to keep going. Fundamentally, the constant striving runs you down. You're always looking sideways to ensure that you measure up. You never feel as though you're winning, as the bar is momentously high. And to numb the frustration, you press your accelerator to the floor of life and keep pushing harder. Because a bit more striving feels like the solution to winning the gold. But it doesn't work. Because even though outwardly you might be shining brightly, inwardly it's a different story. You may seek to avoid this pain through eating or not eating, through alcohol, drugs, shopping, workaholism, anything to distract yourself. And the coping strategies bring temporary relief from the turmoil bubbling inside your head, but they also bring up shame and overwhelm. Like, why, oh, why am I doing this again? You might find yourself back at the cupboard door having a binge, and you feel like this just doesn't align with my values and everything else that I'm trying to sort of, work towards in my life. Why am I doing this? So you might not have the words to express your feelings. Rather, you simply sense that something just isn't right. You feel on an endless treadmill that spins faster. There's always another goal, another pursuit, another to-do task, but nothing brings you the satisfaction that you crave. You may feel lost in the jungle of life, repeatedly twisting and turning along tangled routes which lead to inevitable dead ends. It feels as though everyone else is getting ahead of you, and you're confused inwardly. Your life looks perfect and should bring happiness, you think. So why does everything feel so wrong? Just talk a little bit about my own competitiveness and how I've struggled in this area. So this is something I personally struggled with, and it definitely stems from deeper pain for me. I was frequently labelled as incompetent growing up, and I genuinely offer compassion now to the person who repetitively told me this. They were deeply hurting and didn't feel competent themselves. And I guess just want to say to you that it's been a process for me to get to that place of really having compassion for that person. I had to work through a lot of anger and grief and other feelings first. But that word incompetent really became like an arrow to my heart. It would really make me wince, almost from the crevices of my core, as I really believed it to be so wholeheartedly accurate because I really trusted this person. And it really triggered deep shame and self-loathing and impacted everything. So because I felt deep down that I was incompetent, I was on a mission to prove that I was competent and coping. I would study for hours at university to compensate for my feelings of lack. I wanted the highest grades and acknowledgement from the tutors. I would restrict and exercise outwardly, presenting a thin physique when I was struggling horrendously with bulimia, because I wanted to appear that I was disciplined and in control. But it was all deeply inauthentic and a soul-robbing process. And it was also a survival mechanism to avoid rejection or criticism. So how did competitiveness start for you? So your family of origin may hold clues as to why competition feels so necessary and important. If you were compared with siblings or peers, you may have internalized that there was something wrong with you. You may have felt that you had something to prove. And perhaps you felt like the unintelligent one, the bad child, the ugly one, the difficult one. And you absorb the external messages like a sponge. And this can then place you on that relentless treadmill of striving to achieve for approval from others and yourself through work, experience, appearance even, fitness, eating, and relationships, to name a few. You need to strive to be the best to feel okay. Otherwise, you feel unworthy and hopeless. But striving to be good enough is like spinning on a hamster's wheel that never stops. And the illusion that worthiness arrives once a goal is achieved is futile, because the goalposts always move, and you will forever need another qualification, additional money, a lower number on the scale, or further likes on social media. And when you look over your shoulder and compare, there will always be someone coming up behind you, so it's impossible to win. So how to let go of unhealthy competing and find solid self-worth within? So I'm going to give you 7 points. Number 1, get to the roots. So understand the roots of the issue. Why do you feel the need to constantly compete and strive to be perfect and the best? So look to your childhood experiences for clues and understanding, and offer your younger self the deep compassion and kindness that you didn't receive. Realize that you're worthy and good enough exactly as you are. Number 2, develop self-awareness. You're probably not competing with every single person in your life. So notice the common themes arising when insecurity floods through you. Is it around certain people or situations? Are these people or situations reminiscent of times gone by? Notice when the competitor in you comes out. Write it down, reflect and observe. Catch yourself in the moment. Number 3, build your inner trust muscle. Get aligned with your own personal values and understand what truly matters to you. Are you chasing something because it's genuinely important to you, or are you simply seeking validation and approval from others? it's vital to discern between the two. So practice making decisions for yourself rather than always looking over your shoulder to see what others are doing first. And work to stop seeking the approval of others and constantly seeking external reassurance. Begin to trust yourself and begin with baby steps and notice your own unique preferences, tastes, likes and dislikes. It's okay to experiment and you might get it wrong, but this is how we learn. You can learn from this and build your emotional muscles in the process. Number 4, embrace the grey of humanness. No one is all perfect or all bad. Everyone has their own unique strengths and weaknesses, so work to embrace the shades of grey in yourself and in others. If someone is seemingly perfect at one thing, there'll be flaws and imperfections in other life areas. No one has everything streamlined and seamless all the time. And take care not to pedestal one shiny aspect of another human. It's a distorted perspective. Number 5, create an abundant mindset. Work to build an abundant mindset and realize that there is significantly more than enough for every single person, and someone else's success does not take anything away from you and vice versa. Number 6, protect yourself from competitive energy. So if you're an empathetic and sensitive soul, you will need to actively protect your energy and preserve your emotional frame. So setting healthy boundaries in relationships can help significantly with this. And remember that if someone else invites you to the dance of competition, you don't have to join it. You can gracefully step away. And this will happen sometimes. Sometimes it can be quite subtle, but you can be around someone else and you really feel kind of drawn into a competition that you don't even want to be in. And again, it's just kind of noticing that and step away. You don't need to join the game. You really don't. Number 7, a quote to take away. So John Dyer says, "A flower does not think of competing with the flower next to it. It just blooms." So focus on blooming brilliantly and staying aligned in your energy and remaining inspired by your goals. You are unique and special. Why would you want to be anyone else? So if you struggled with competing with others, do let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for listening. If you're not following me already on Instagram, do seek me out, the Eating Disorder Therapist _. And for further support with your relationship with food, do go to the eatingdisordertherapist.co.uk. If you enjoyed this podcast, I'll be so grateful if you follow, rate and review, as it helps it reach so many more listeners. And if you'd like written articles of the podcast to your inbox twice a week for free, just go to my Substack account, the Eating Disorder Therapist, and you can sign up. The link is also in the show notes. Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to sharing another podcast episode with you very soon.